Now that the game is well and truly underway, we're going to take a look at how Triple H fared in his first fortnight as the substrative that runs creative. The eyes of the WWE Universe lit up on the 25th of July with news that Vince McMahon stepping down would lead to Paul Levesque stepping up. Seems fitting that his 53rd birthday present, which fell on the 27th, was the keys to the kingdom, which is marginally better than a HMV voucher. His first port of call as new captain was the WWE Summerslam tryouts at the Wild Horse Saloon in Nashville. Pro wrestlers and athletes of all skill levels gave the graps a go, including NBA champion from the Lakers, Dwight Howard, who slam dunks it in the promo section of the event. All hail the Shogun Shadow King. Whilst watching sports standouts find out if they catch as catch could, Triple H spoke to Ariel Helwani about the glitch in the road that was his cardiac event, his new appreciation for life and the concept of sleep, and his burning desire to take WWE to new heights. Daddy Trips said all the right words at this tryout, talking about how he wanted to focus more on in-ring quality and give talent creative freedom. Words to a wrestling fan that are tantamount to sexting. Reports indicated that Triple H wanted to make a creative splash at SummerSlam. However, he would only do so if it felt right to. When Seth Rollins' ring riot with Riddle was rescinded, we thought this might be the pool that Hunter's creative juices are poured into. Soon after the announcement of Riddle's brachial plexus injury, we all took to the internet. First to Google brachial plexus, and then to speculate which Levesque guy would step into the shoes of the shoeless king of bros. An NXT call-up for Carmelo Hayes, a fiendish return for Bray Wyatt, a triumphant comeback for Johnny Gargano were some of the top suggestions from the WWE Universe. Now keep in mind, at no point did anybody in WWE say that Rollins would step into the ring with a ringer, but with Seth apologising to fans online and Triple H declaring, "I hear you," on Twitter, we felt justified in pulling out the magnifying glass and reading between the lines. Whilst many in Paul's position would see this as a chance to etch-a-sketch away the best-laid booking plans, this was never his desire or want. H wanted to see through storylines that his father-in-law had mapped out, including the Riddle-Rollins rivalry. One of those also was a faction that was born on Friday nights. And on the Friday before SummerSlam, we saw Maximum Male models get TV time, including the return of Max Dupree, who was reportedly incommunicado after some backstage bickerings. Vince McMahon had a passion for the fashion faction, and Trips proved he was keen to make it work. Later on that very same SmackDown, we saw Drew McIntyre and Sheamus in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook to determine who would be causing the WWE champion hassle at Clash at the Castle. Proof that not everything is perfect in the Triple H era. They hung the Irish flags upside down around the ring, changing its nationality completely. Too bad that Shane McMahon wasn't here to hit both guys with a coast to Ivory Coast. Oh, that one hurt. This match was well received by fans in the arena and those watching on telly, mainly because of something that Triple H did before the show, or rather, didn't do. You see, instead of getting Drew and Shamo to plan the match beat for beat and move for move, as it tends to go in modern day WWE, Hunter was keen to give the lads room to breathe and call it out there. To the shock of nobody, these two longtime friends and wildly talented sports entertainers and wrestlers were more than capable of ebbing and flowing rather than prepping and knowing. The sentiment of spontaneity spilled to the commentation station too, with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole feeling liberated with less lambasting in their lug holes. So, we're off to the races and all with smiling faces as we get to SummerSlam, the first premium live event overseen by the King of Kings. A few hours before the show, Triple H was on Logan Paul's Impulsive show, which we saw a few days later, talking about Vince McMahon's legacy and reiterating he'll have big shoes to fill and how basically it's going to take a village to raise his child. He also was telling Logan Paul that he had no idea who Logan Paul was until someone showed him a video and agreed, yeah, we should probably reach out to him. Triple H, who that weekend had offered 14 college athletes deals, knows that some of the big hitters of wrestling may still very well come from a background that isn't wrestling per se. SummerSlam began on a balmy Saturday evening in Nashville and would would take less than half an hour for us to get a glimpse into the game's game plan. The return of Bayley, the call-up of Io Shirai, and the shocking return of released NXT star Dakota Kai, all in quick succession, got the wrestling world talking. Kai herself said that her re-entry into the WWE atmosphere was so sudden, she was still catching her breath as she walked towards the ring at the Nassau Stadium. I mean, to be fair, everybody was that night. That's a stupidly long walkway. In the time it took Roman Reigns and his entourage to get to the ring in the main event, you could have boiled 2 eggs and had time to make a brew. This triple threat was one that had been pitched by Dakota Kai back in April and was shot down by Vince McMahon and his team before Kai was wished best of luck in her future endeavours. This, along with Becky Lynch and a babyface turn to stand alongside Bianca Belair, was a creative movement that the old guard wasn't interested in, but one that the new guard was happy to run with. Now that is how you make a creative splash. We don't quite know how much of the show was Vince's vision that Triple H was very keen to walk beside for now, so seems a bit foolhardy to shower Tripp's love for the fantastic Edge return from South of Heaven or for Brock Lesnar's Greco-Roman tractor lift in the main event, but it all added to a highly entertaining and very well received SummerSlam spectacle. There was some frustration though with the lack of Seth Rollins' outing, as instead of getting a mystery opponent, we got a pull-apart Riddle rollicking for a little bit, which we assume is stretching the storyline to Clash at the Castle in September. But apart from that, we enjoyed the slam of the summer variety this year. Attention shifted to the Raw after SummerSlam. This is where many believed we would see the true intentions of Triple H for Vince McMahon's most beloved offspring. Sorry, Steph. Sorry, Shane. But you get it. As well as another showcase of Bayley, the newly named Io Sky, and Dakota Kai, seemingly named Control, appropriate for an alt team that Vince tried to delete. We saw strong positioning from Montez Ford, Mustafa Ali, and Ciampa, the latter of whom pretty much had the show built around him. Ciampa is 2 things in particular: a great talker and a brilliant wrestler. On Raw, he talked and he wrestled, and by the end of the night, he picked up the biggest win of his career over AJ Styles. In doing so, punching a ticket for an audience with Bobby Lashley for the US title. Now, we hear reports that Ciampa was getting reimagined by the new writing committee, and as a Triple H favourite, he's no doubt going to get plenty of time to shine in the months to come. As with SmackDown on the Friday before SummerSlam, Raw boasted a more relaxed commentary style, promos that felt like bullet points rather than diatribes and dialogue, and matches that showcased the talent's broader strokes. In short, whilst there's still work to do, Raw started feeling, for the first time in a long time, organic, spontaneous, raw, I guess. The intrigue to read Chapter 1 of the Book of Paul paid off in the audience figures. Raw averaging 2.23 million across its 3 hours on Monday. That's the biggest viewership since the 20th of March 2020, the first show of the pandemic era. Remember that? WWE easily won the night on cable for USA with this one, each of Raw's 3 hours in first to third place. Better Call Saul doing a .36 to finish a very distant 4th. Good episode that as well. How was the vibe backstage after Raw though? Well, the mood of the day was renewed optimism, according to Fightful Select. They were excited to not be in leg-lock limbo, facing the same people every week. The charge behind Ciampa gave renewed hope that folk who had been seen as not worthy would suddenly get the chance to succeed or fail by their own merit. And with that, though, there is the concern of folk who were considered Vince McMahon guys. Put it this way, I'm hoping you've been able to offload your shares in Big Sweaty Men over the past 5 days. Between Raw and SmackDown, Triple H and the writing team have been meeting with WWE stars and outlining what the future holds on a larger scale and individually. There is talks of recharging, rebranding and reshaping a lot of talent that was lost in the shuffle of Vince McMahon's pack of cards. Kevin Owens, another Triple H favourite, is apparently having some big creative plans cooked up for his impending return to shows. We've not seen Kev in a couple of weeks, have we? Away from the linear lineup, rumours were rife post-Raw of the gamut of grapplers who could grace the gorilla position once again. Sasha Banks and Naomi, who haven't been seen on WWE TV since leaving their tag titles with John Laurinaitis, and last mentioned on WWE TV by Vince McMahon, speaking through his Michael Cole hand puppet, presumably whilst drinking a bottle of gear at the same time. With those dark clouds away, there is speculation that Boss and Glow may return to the show. We will wait and see. All Elite innuendo also started after the New Era Raw. So many of Paul's prodigies had moved to Tonytown to escape a calamitous call-up, and speculation was rife about certain talent there feeling like they'd cashed in their chips a little too early. Some said that whilst they were happy in AEW, had the current regime been in place when their contract came up, they'd have stuck around in WWE. Under the old guard, the future involved either a bold move or a bold manager. There's a lot of people who Triple H clearly had black and gold ambitions for that were future endeavoured before they could really reach fruition. Two of those we got to see this past Friday when Karrion Kross and Scarlett made a shocking impactful return, with Kross's forearm making a shocking impact with the back of Drew McIntyre's head. They even brought Roman Reigns an hourglass as a gift, presumably so he can keep track of when he's next due to be on telly. Fightful Select revealed that Karrion Kross's return, like that of Dakota Kai at SummerSlam, was very lastminute.com. Kross is one of Triple H's favourites who is, as of Friday, factored into creative going forward and was told to bring his mean streak to SmackDown but leave the helmet at home. Also on SmackDown, it was announced that the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships would return to circulation on Monday, with that tournament that they promised us back in June finally getting underway. Now, we are posting this video just a few hours before Raw, aware that we play a wicked game in doing so, because reports over the weekend hint that Triple H is now picking up the pace with terraforming Titan Towers, and it's going to be an aggressive one as he builds his new army. No doubt more major returns, maybe some shocking debuts, are around every single corner. I'm covering my back here in case Sasha Banks and Naomi return tonight to stake their claim as women's tag team champions, or, I don't know, Trips has Johnny Gargano do a run-in, or MJF pins Omos. It's a wild time. I'm ruling nothing out. One major comeback that we have seen so far is the comeback of wrestling. Not just the word, which has now been removed from the banned list alongside hospital, a word that Roman Reigns said with all the glee of a 5-year-old dropping the F-bomb after hearing Daddy say it to the TV. But the general focus of the company is now about wrestling too. Reports say that Triple H is trying a new way, which many have deciphered to mean a renewed push and focus on a world away from merely sports entertainment, getting back to its roots as professional wrestling. I mean, it could also mean that he's trying a new alternating lunch menu in the canteen and a change to the parking system outside WWE HQ, but I'm assuming he means wrestling. So to summarise, it's been a busy first 2 weeks on the job for Triple H as head of talent relations and creative. We live in compelling times in the wrestling world. With the game controlling the game, there is excitement in the air about what will happen next, who will appear again, and how the company is going to look in the weeks and months that follow. That journey continues tonight on Raw, a show that, as we said earlier, will inevitably date this video. Thanks for your speedy forward progression, Triple H. Stay safe and love you, bye.